Good morning, everyone, and welcome to The Water's Edge, a place where everyone is welcome. And if you're live with us today, we're so excited to have you here. And if you're online this morning, be sure to check us out on Facebook or YouTube, and feel free to like, share, and comment. And if you know anyone that needs our help to get closer to Jesus, invite them to church or share our online content with them, because we exist to tear down the walls between God and people who feel far away from God. So if you want to help us out in our mission and God put it on your heart to volunteer, you can email us at watersedgevolunteer@gmail.com or text your contact info to 337-352-2443 and we'll get you plugged in. We have a full experience for you guys, so get ready to worship with the Water's Edge Band and a message from Pastor Tony.
Seen the wonder in the glimmer of first sight, as the eyes began to open and the blindness meets the light. If you have so say, I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in life, burst in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. Have you ever seen the wonder in the air of second light? Having come out of the waters with the old one left behind. If you have soul, say, I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in life, burst in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I see the world in grace, I see the world in gospel, I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I'm walking in the wonder. You're the wonder in the world, turning wilderness to wonder. Ooh, I'll say, I see the world in love, I see the world in freedom, I see the Jesus way. You're the wonder in the world. I see the world your way, and I'm not afraid to follow. I see the world your way, and I'm not ashamed to say so. I see the Jesus way, and I'm walking in the light. I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in life, burst in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. Ooh, I'll say, I see the world in grace, I see the world in gospel, I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I'm walking in the wonder. You're the wonder in the world, turning wilderness to wonder. Ooh, I'll say, I see the world in love, I see the world in freedom. I see the Jesus way. You're the wonder in the world.
Sometimes on this journey, I get lost in my mistakes. What looks to me like weakness is a canvas for your strength. My story isn't over, my story's just begun. Failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Arrival's not the end game, the journey's where you are. Never wanted perfect, you just wanted my heart. The story isn't over if the story isn't good. Failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Prodigals come home, the helpless find hope. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Prison doors fling wide, the dead come to life. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles take place, the cynical find faith. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Jericho walls are quaking, strongholds now are shaking. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Lay your burdens down. Here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house.
Hey everyone, I'm really excited to share with you a brand new way to partner with us through giving. Just take out your phone, open your camera, and scan the barcode on the screen. It will take you to our new giving platform on our Square account. You can also visit watersedgegathering.com, or you can download the Waters Edge app and simply click on Give. You can also text your dollar amount to 337-223-9003, or you can mail a check to P.O. Box 572, Lake Charles, Louisiana 70602, or 2760 Power Center Parkway, Lake Charles, Louisiana 70607. Now prepare your heart and your mind for a message from Pastor Tony.
What's up, everybody? Good morning and welcome to our Sunday morning Water's Edge online worship experience. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today and tuning in. For those of you that continue to send these links to your friends and family, thank you so much for doing that. We have people that are tuning in all over Louisiana, but also all over the United States. We have a big online crowd and they get a lot of help from this, so thank you for being helpful and helping other people out by sharing our services with them. Also, for those of you that continue to give online, thank you so much for doing that. That allows us to help more people and love more people and serve more people and feed more people. We're currently planning our next food pantry right now. We expect to feed close to 1,000 people. And so when you're generous and when you give online, it helps us do that. It helps us meet needs and feed people like Christ would do. If we were to define the word monster, it'd probably sound like something like this: something big, something large, something terrifying, something intimidating, and something cruel. So naturally, we use this word monster as a description all the time. There's monster trucks, there's monster energy drinks, there's monster appetites, there's monster neighborhoods, or this emotion, this feeling, this battle that I'm dealing with is big and strong and cruel. This pain, this suffering, this heartache, this feeling, this temptation, this circumstance, this storm, this trial in my life is big and strong and cruel, like a monster. And so today we're in this current series entitled Monsters. And the purpose of this study, this series, is to get you and I to face and to deal with those things that hold us back in this life from growth, personal growth, and successful life change. Those monsters that keep haunting you and I, chasing you and I, tempting you and I, defeating you and I, and pushing you and I around. Now, one of the most painful things anyone has ever said about me, and probably you too, and one of the most painful things that you have ever said about someone else, and someone else has probably said this about you too, is this: I have never seen that side of you before. Sometimes we say that to people. I don't know what's going on. I've never seen this side of you before. It's a painful thing to hear. Or when someone tells you that, I don't know what's going on in your heart, but I've never seen this side of you before. It's a very difficult thing to understand. It's really important for you and I to understand this about ourselves, and not only about ourselves, but for the other people in our life that we love and that are close to us. And this is what I mean by that. There's a good and genuine, peaceful and loving side to me and you. There's a good and genuine, loving and compassionate and kind side to you and I. There's a very good and genuine, upright and faithful side to me and to you. And this is the side that most people know us to be in this life, because this is the side that we usually only show people. We only show people this side of us because this is how we want people to know us. We want people to know us as loving and forgiving and peaceful and kind and upright, and we have character and integrity and we're faithful. But so many times we have a different side to us. But then every now and then, when life is exhausting, when life is stressful, every now and then when life is uncertain, when life is full of relationship tension or pain, there's also the rude side to you and I. There's the angry side to you and I. There's the tense side to you and I. There's the very unforgiving and revengeful and bitter side to you and I. There's the short-tempered and selfish and jealous side to you and to I. So we all have this very good and genuine, loving, kind, forgiving, faithful, compassionate side to us. And that's the side that we show people because we want people to think that's who we really are. But then when life gets tough, there's that other side of us. And this is the side of us that we try to hide most of the time, but every now and then it surfaces and it comes rushing out of us like a fountain to the point to where someone else has to say, hey, I don't know what's going on right now in your heart or in your life, but I have never seen this side of you. Or maybe a habit or a pattern that you've tried to overcome and cover up for most of your life. Maybe there's an excuse that you've tried to cover up for most of your life, and it resurfaces every now and then. And someone has to say, give me a minute. I haven't seen this side of you before. I've seen the loving side of you. I've seen the very patient and kind and faithful side to you, but I've never seen this side of you, and so you have to give me a minute. This is true for so many of us today. Several years ago, I got invited to preach at this big revival in North Alabama. After the first service of the week, the youth pastor and I were having dinner, and we really became close friends. So right after that, he invited me, because he was the youth pastor at this large church in Alabama, to come preach their youth camps every single summer, and they would hold those youth camps in Florida. So for the next 12 summers, every single summer they would book me for an entire week to go preach their youth camps in Florida. And every week I would hang out with this youth pastor, very cool guy. We got very close to each other in this life. When I went through difficult things, I would share it with him. And then when it wasn't the summertime, during the school year, they would invite me to come up and preach Disciple Nows and youth rallies and revivals and things like that. And so me and this youth pastor became very close and really good friends. And I saw him serve people. I saw him love people. I saw him share Jesus with people and worship God. I saw him pray and weep over students. For 12 years, the side that I saw of him was good and kind and faithful and loving and genuine and sincere. Just a really great guy and a better friend. And even when I went through something painful in my life, he stuck with me every step of the way. And then one day, his senior pastor called me. By this time, he was the associate pastor. One day, his senior pastor called me, and he told me that he had to fire my friend from their church, let him go from his position. By this time, my friend had become the associate pastor. And the reason why he was fired was this. One night, him and his wife got into an argument. It escalated, and he severely and physically beat up and abused his wife to the point where he was in jail for several days. She survived. She was just in the hospital for like a day and a night, and she was okay. But he had to go to jail. He lost his job, lost his reputation and everything. And this is what the pastor told me over the phone. He said, for years I watched him live, and I saw this side of him that was so real and good and genuine. But Pastor Tony, I've never seen this side of him. I didn't know he had this side. Now, most of us listening right now have a side to us that we don't want many people to know about, and we don't want many people to see. Probably not to that extreme, but we still have those moments when that angry part of us and that selfish side of us and that rude or offensive or impatient or jealous side of us surfaces and comes rushing out of us. And the reason not many people see that side of us is because deep down, this is the side of us that we wish we could grow past. This is the side of us that we wish we could change. This is the side of us that we wish would stop getting in the way of our personal growth. There are certain aspects of our life that we allow other people to see. And then there are certain sides and aspects of our life that we don't let many people know about at all, even those people that are closest to us. No one really knows how much medication we're on. No one really knows how depressed we really get. No one really knows how much anxiety we really deal with. No one really knows about those secrets and those things that we cover up and those things that we hide. And the reason no one really knows about it is because you wish you could change it, and you don't want people to think this is a part of who you are too. And so you show people the good side of you because that's who you want them to think you are. But then there's a different side of you that you hide and you cover up at all cost. There are certain parts of our life that we love, that we're proud of, that are peaceful. But then there are other sides of our life that we wish we could change. And the reason we wish we could change it is, like I said, it keeps holding us back. And we want to stop getting in the way. It gets in the way. And we want this to stop. This area of my life has to stop getting in the way of my relationships. It has to stop getting in the way of my faith. It has to stop getting in the way of my walk with God and my progress and my hard work and my future and my growth. And so basically this series tries to answer this one question, and this is what it is. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. What would happen to my life if I took full responsibility for the side of me that keeps holding me back? Now, for just a few moments, let me tell you why successful personal growth and life change is so important, and remember this today. Most of us only start to change once our pain in life reaches a certain level, and this is what I mean by that. When the pain of dealing with that relationship problem reaches a certain level, when the pain of dealing with that health problem, that financial problem, the consequences of that habit, when it finally reaches a certain level, when the pain of dealing the consequences of your selfishness, the consequences of your choice and your decisions and your laziness, or when the pain of dealing with that constant tension in that relationship or that jealousy, when it reaches a certain level, then that's when we usually wake up and say, oh, I need some help. I need to change this area of my life, and I need to make some serious changes because it keeps getting in the way. And here's the truth. Life for me and life for you will always be challenging. But if you and I would just devote ourselves to constant personal growth and change, constant change and growth in our relationships, in our decision making, in our health, in our finances, in our development of good habits over bad patterns, and overcoming our selfish traits, then you and I would constantly be changing for the better instead of waiting for the pain and the heartache to go away. This is why successful personal growth is so important, because if you don't do it now, then your pain and your heartache is going to decide for you later. Let me say that again. if you don't make personal growth and life change a priority right now, then when your pain and suffering reaches a certain level, then your pain's going to decide for you one day. Now, here's the deal. Those strong temptations that we face, me and you, to not make necessary changes in our life, to not deal with that side of us that holds us back, does not come from an outside source. We can't blame it on the devil. We can't blame it on the enemy. We can't blame it on circumstances. Notice what James says in the New Testament in chapter 1, verse 14. This is the half-brother of Jesus. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entices us and drags us away. It drags us away from what? From peace, from character, from personal growth, from faith, from joy, from God, from honesty, and from happiness. And where does it come from? Where does this battle, where does this desire come from? It comes from inside of you and me. It comes from our own desires. Now, keep this in mind today. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. Every temptation you face ultimately originates from your own desires created inside of you. And it's created by that side of you that you wish you could change. The temptations and the battles and the excuses that you face in this life do not come from an outside source. James, the half-brother of Jesus, says it comes from inside of you. And so this is how I know that I can overcome these desires, because these desires originated inside of me. So my strength to overcome those desires that originated inside of me also originates inside of me, and I can always make the choice to let my strength be stronger than those desires that are trying to drag me away. So yes, we all have very conflicting desires inside of us. We have desires for peace and for negativity. We have desires for forgiveness and for revenge. We have desires for love and for hate. We have desires for personal growth and for selfishness. But successful personal growth and life change, if you make amazing changes in your life, changes in how you deal with that side of you that holds you back, if you change or not, if you grow or not, is never, ever, ever determined by how strong those temptations on the inside of you that you're facing that holds you back from change. It's never determined by that, because those temptations started inside of you, and if they originated inside of you, then you can be strong enough, and you can decide to be strong enough not to give in to them. They're still your desires, and if they're your desires that try to drag you away from the life that you want, then you can deal with them. Which means they come from inside of us, which means you can take full responsibility and face them. So, if it's not determined, your growth, if it's not determined by how strong your desires are that always tempt you to stay just like you are, then what does determine if you can grow and change that side of you that always holds you back? Great question. Notice what happens again to Jesus when he's on the devil's mountain being tempted. In Matthew chapter 4, Jesus is fasting in the desert, and he's hungry and he's weak, and he's being tempted to compromise his character and his faith and his resolve and his endurance and perseverance. Notice how he deals with it. Matthew chapter 4, verses 3 through 4. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. During that time, the devil came and said to Jesus, "If you're the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread." But Jesus told him, "No, the scriptures say people do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." So notice what's really going on here. Jesus is alone in the desert. He's fasting. He's hungry. He's extremely physically weak, and he's faced with a very strong temptation to turn these stones into bread, because you have this desire that needs to be fulfilled right now. You're hungry, you've been fasting, you're weak. Now you have an opportunity to turn rocks into bread for the right now. What are you going to do? Notice this temptation represents this, and remember this. It represents the desire to live with only the right now in mind while not considering the future results. And we all have that side of us that wants to get angry right now, that wants to get revenge right now, that wants to get them back right now, that wants to give into this feeling right now, that wants to be unproductive right now, that wants to be lazy right now, that wants to lose our temper right now, that wants to make this careless, selfish decision right now. We all have that side of us, because that's just what I feel like doing. And in that moment, we never really consider that if we give into this right now, how it's going to affect us down the road and the people around us down the road, because your life is not an island, and the choices you make, if you have people in your life, it's going to affect them too, and it's going to cause them to have to deal with things down the road. We never really consider that, do we? what we and other people in our life are going to do to deal with tomorrow because of our choices, what they're going to have to deal with next week and 2 years down the road because of our choices of just giving in to the right now. People who live with the right now in mind only usually live with a lot of pain and regret in the future, and I'll tell you why. It's because they're not personally growing. So, is there a way to deal with? Is there a way to outsmart? Is there a way to overcome and defeat those strong desires that come from that side of you that always gets in the way and holds you back from personal growth and life change? Well, there absolutely is, and we find it in the example of Jesus. And in his example, we find a powerful key to consistent personal growth and life change. And remember this morning, if you're still with me, so I'm still with you. Personal growth and positive change in our life is simply determined by which desires that you're quick to give into and which desires you hesitate to give into. Remember what Jesus did. He hesitated when faced with the wrong desires, and he did not hesitate at all when choosing the correct desire. So when Jesus was faced with the wrong desire, his first reaction was to hesitate. But when he was faced with the right choice, his first reaction was to not hesitate and to give into it right away. Now, the reason why this is so powerful is because you and I usually do the opposite. When you and I are faced with the desires to either be careless or to be wise, when we're faced with the desires to be irresponsible or to be responsible, when we're faced with the desires to get revenge or to forgive, to let things go or to love, to be compassionate or to be hateful, to give in or to be strong, to break down or to have faith, you and I usually hesitate in doing the right thing because somehow we think that we're missing out if we don't do the wrong thing. Like our life is missing out on something in that moment. And so we usually hesitate in making the right decision, and we're very quick to give into the wrong desire. And then once we give into it, we look back and we say, uh-oh, I've made a mess of things, and now I have to deal with this, and the people in my life have things they have to deal with too because of what I did. And this is when someone has to usually approach us and say this: I have never seen this side of you, and it's painful and it's confronting. If you want to successfully grow in your personal life, if you want to change that side of you that keeps holding you back from love and life and joy, this side of you that always gets in the way, it always gets in the way of your progress, your growth, your hard work, your relationships, your faith, and your future, then do this. Always hesitate and fight against those tempting desires that you know is trying to drag you away from the life that you really want. And on the flip side of that, stop hesitating so much and doing the right thing and making the right choice because you know what they are. Stop hesitating. When it comes to that habit that you need to change, no more hesitation. When it comes to that pattern, when it comes to that excuse, when it comes to that feeling, when it comes to that addiction, when it comes to that communication issue that you know that you need to change, stop putting it off. No more hesitation. When it comes to that emotional struggle or that mental struggle or that excuse that you have in your life, no more hesitation. Stop putting it off. In order to defeat and outsmart that side of us that we don't like for other people to see, the example of Jesus is the key, and remember this today. Personal growth happens in our life when we give into the good desire to do it now. Personal life change happens in our life when you and I give into the good desire to make that change happen right now. If you know that you need to apologize, do it now. That's the right choice. The wrong desire is to hold on to it. If you know that you need to cut up that credit card, do it now. If you know that you need to go see a counselor or a therapist, do it now. If you know that you need to spend more time with your family, do it now. If you know that you need to quit that habit, if you know that you need to love and serve more people in the name of Jesus, do it now. If you know that you need to go see the doctor, do it now. If you know that you need to get more involved at church, if you need to take a risk and make necessary changes, do it now. And stop hesitating and stop trying to show people just the side of you that you want them to see and just be real and genuine. This is how you outsmart that side of you that always tries to hold you back. Don't be so fast to give into those temporary desires of the right now. Hesitate when they come towards your way. And don't be so hesitant in giving into the good desires to make positive changes right now. And those good desires that you feel in your heart that'll help you grow and succeed and change, those come from God. Stop putting them off. Stop making excuses. Take ownership of your desires and your life because they come from inside of you anyway. And those changes that you need to make, do it right now with no more hesitation. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope this has helped you out. We hope you have a wonderful week. We love you. Can't wait to see you back next week.
We really hope you enjoyed today's service, and we pray that the message from Pastor Tony encouraged you and helped you in some way today. And if you're moved by the message and want to connect with us through social media, you can hit us up at Waters Edge Gathering on Facebook and Waters Edge _LC on Instagram. You can also download our app where you can do online giving, listen to online worship, or replay messages from Pastor Tony. And also, if you want to know more about salvation and baptism, want to volunteer, or need a prayer request, you can visit our Welcome Center and talk to our wonderful volunteers, and they'll get you plugged in. We absolutely love you guys. Have a great week, and we hope to see you back at the Water's Edge, where everyone is welcome.